Welcome to another episode of On Black X Wolf Entertainment. In today's chapter, The Swordsmith's Omen, our Ronin finds himself at a crossroads between fate and fortune. He meets an old swordsmith who warns of the dangers that lie ahead. Will our hero heed these warnings, or will his desperation push him further down a perilous path? Let's dive in. The Ronin trudged along the narrow path, his body weary from the battle with the mountain bandits. His left side still ached where a spear had grazed him, and though the wound had begun to heal, the journey ahead seemed endless. The bamboo forest was far behind him, but in its place was a heavy mist clinging to the earth like an omen of the dangers that lay ahead. As he approached a small village nestled in the foothills of Kinkatana mountain, he could feel the weight of his sword dragging at his side. The once sharp blade had been chipped and dulled by battle, and though he had survived, the damage was apparent. He needed rest. He needed his blade restored. He entered the village quietly, eyes scanning the humble wooden homes, the rice fields swaying in the distance. The villagers eyed him warily, his ragged clothes and weathered face marking him as a Ronin, masterless and fallen from grace.
Another wandering warrior? What misfortune has brought him here?
Ignoring their whispers, the Ronin made his way to the heart of the village, where a plume of smoke rose from a small thatched roof workshop. The clang of hammer against steel echoed in the air, a swordsmith at work. As he neared the forge, an old man, bent with age and marked by the scars of his trade, looked up from his anvil. His hands were blackened by soot, and his eyes, though clouded with age, gleamed with an inner fire.
You've come far, Ronin. What brings you to my forge? My blade is damaged. I seek its repair.
The swordsmith nodded, extending a hand toward the Ronin's katana. With a weary sigh, the Ronin handed over his weapon, watching as the old man inspected the blade with the care of a craftsman who had spent a lifetime perfecting his art. The swordsmith ran his fingers along the edge, tracing the nicks and chips in the steel. His expression grew grave, as if the blade itself spoke of the hardships its wielder had faced.
There's a rumor that's been spreading through these lands. A legend of a blade forged not by mortal hands, but by the spirits themselves. They call it the Blade of Gold-Kinkatana. It's said to grant fortune to its wielder, riches beyond measure. But there is another side to that tale, one that many choose to ignore. And what is that? Those who seek the blade are often consumed by their own greed. The blade doesn't bring fortune, it brings ruin. The curse it carries feeds on the ambition of those who wield it, until nothing remains but a shadow of the man they once were.
The Ronin's eyes darkened as the swordsmith's words echoed in his mind. He had heard whispers of such curses before, of legendary weapons that were more burden than blessing. But what choice did he have? His debts weighed heavily on him, and without fortune, he would remain a wanderer, a disgrace in the eyes of those who once respected him.
The path of the warrior is filled with hardship, but honor must be restored, even at great cost. I have no choice. Honor or pride, Ronin? There is a fine line between the two. Many warriors have walked that path before you, seeking to restore what they have lost, and all have fallen.
The Ronin's jaw tightened. He knew the swordsmith was right, but the weight of his past and the desperate need for redemption drowned out the old man's warning.
Then I shall be the one to succeed where others have failed. As you wish. But remember, Ronin, not all treasure is worth the price it demands.
The swordsmith turned back to his work, the rhythmic clanging of his hammer against the steel filling the small forge. Sparks flew into the air, illuminating the room with flashes of light as the blade began to take shape once more. The Ronin watched in silence, his thoughts heavy with the weight of the swordsmith's words. He had set out on this journey believing that the Blade of Gold would be his salvation, that it would bring him the fortune he needed to reclaim his honor. But now, doubt gnawed at the edges of his mind. Still, he could not turn back. Not now. He was too far down the path to stop. Hours passed, and at last the swordsmith lifted the newly repaired katana from the anvil, its edge gleaming in the firelight. The Ronin took the blade, feeling its weight in his hand, the familiar grip of the hilt steadying his resolve.
The blade is mended, but remember this, no sword, no matter how sharp, can cut through fate. Choose your path wisely, Ronin. My thanks, Old One. I will remember your words.
With his katana now restored, the Ronin left the forge and stepped into the fading light of dusk. The village was quiet, the air heavy with the scent of rain on the wind. As he walked, the swordsmith's warning echoed in his mind, a haunting refrain that would not be silenced.
The Blade of Gold, a curse or a gift, I have no choice but to find out.
The road ahead was long, and the shadow of Kinkatana Mountain loomed ever larger on the horizon. But the Ronin's heart, though filled with doubt, would not waver. His journey would continue, and the Blade of Gold awaited him. Whether it would bring fortune or ruin, only time would tell. What dangers lie ahead on the road to Kinkatana Mountain? Subscribe to Black X Wolf Entertainment for more epic storytelling. And don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell for notifications. The Path of the Warrior continues next time, so stay tuned.